Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today's guest is the co-founder of a unique store offering preserved animal specimens, old medical devices, and quirky jewelry, Bazaar, Baltimore. We have Greg Hatem. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Rob.
So as we were talking a little bit earlier, before I said we were recording, I'm into the unique things, and I think I like to throw out there in conversation on occasion. Baltimore is one of those portals. We're a portal to, it's like, I think you have a portal in New Orleans. I think you have a portal here, Vegas, a few other places, but those are places that pop up in places I've been. Totally. We're a portal to like the weird, or have you. So, you know, as we get into like talking about it, we'll start off with describing, you know, your store and what you're doing and the thinking that went into the business. But also we got to talk about some of the quirky and weird and unique things that make Baltimore a prime place for this business.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah. So give us the rundown. Describe your biz.
Yeah. So I guess we opened it in 2013. It was kind of just like a sort of a little experiment, kind of signed a 6-month lease, just not sure if it was going to work out or not. But just sort of within a year after that, we were able to quit our other jobs and just do it full time. But it's an oddities kind of store. We have a lot of taxidermy specimens. We have a lot of medical antiques, a lot of funerary antiques, just weird odds and ends. Some things that we make here at the shop, some things that we get from collectors and auctions and estate sales and all that kind of stuff. But sort of an all of the above sort of thing. But the common thread is that it's all kind of weird.
Weird is good. You know, it's like you've seen different places. They make it a part of their city like marketing campaign. Keep Portland weird. Keep
right. So. Yeah, that's like the late stage. Once they have to do that, it's kind of like,
it's passe.
Might be a little expired there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I have love for those cities, but
the weirdness is
Baltimore doesn't have to do that. We're still right in the prime of still being pretty weird.
So in that, describe what it's like and what the thinking was like going into it. Like describe what it's like being in the type of business you're in and being here, because you guys are located in Hamden, and there were some other places that were really kind of unique and had a unique set of offerings, and they were in that kind of classification of being weird. So describe what it's like being in the business space that you're in, and what it's like being in that type of business and being in Baltimore.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, there's a good network of different stores that are similar to ours all around the country, that kind of market in sort of like the weird and oddities kind of stock. And there wasn't really, I guess we just sort of fell into the idea, to be honest. I always wanted to start a retail store in the back of my head. It was sort of like a kind of little dream that I had. Being a Taurus, as we were talking about earlier, I do have an attraction to the material things, and the collecting has always been something that I've enjoyed doing myself. And really, I just get really excited when I see other people find the thing that they've been looking for. You know, that's kind of the motivation behind it, really, to sort of have a spot where people can see things in person. Because a lot of this stuff, I mean, you can find it online sometimes, or you can, a lot of people liked that show Oddities that was on the, I think it was the Sci-Fi Network or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people like seeing it, but to be able to see it in person is a totally different thing. And it's completely different than going to a museum where, you know, everything's behind glass and it's sort of inaccessible in some level. Whereas this is like, oh yeah, I could take that home today if I like it, you know? So kind of, I don't know, that was sort of my motivation behind it. And yeah, and being in Baltimore, it's just, I mean, like you said, like we've been talking about, it's just such a strange town, and there's a lot of cool artist, weirdo people here. But also a lot of there's a huge medical community with Hopkins and, you know, and so it kind of, there's a little Venn diagram. There's artists, there's medical professionals, there's people who just like to collect weird stuff. It kind of sort of all of the above. When we're looking for customers, but
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you have some places that have this vibe that it's just, you just have a bunch of stuff, where I didn't get that vibe when looking up your store and looking at what you have there. I was like, oh, this is actually like really like dope and organized. And it makes sense that it's like, I'm going to go in here and not feel like is my body going to be found? Am I going to be part of what? It's just like you have a 6
foot.
Hey,
I make no guarantees, right?
I mean, I'm going to take up a lot of space. I'm 6'4", like 300 pounds. I'm going to take up a lot of space. So just keep that in mind.
I'm 5'6", so yeah, you can take up. No, but actually, it is. I mean, like a lot of the shops in Hamden, it is like a little row house. That's sort of been sort of converted into a retail spot. So it is pretty small. And actually, I really sort of like that about our shop. It sort of feels like or I hope it feels at least like you might be walking into someone's private little closet of curiosities or something. I mean, obviously, I would love a lot more space to have a lot more things, a lot of larger things. But actually, it's kind of a nice creative limitation to have to be able to work in a smaller space. Although during COVID, I would much prefer a larger space with lots of ventilation. However, you can only do what you can only do, and so we've just been open by appointment since the pandemic.
Because I've noticed with it, because I'm planning a trip there, obviously, as we talked earlier, and just I think I saw some of the videos, and it just kind of this is what we have here, and this is what we have. I was like, oh, okay, and it is set up, and it kind of gives you that almost especially with the type of offerings that are there, it's almost a museum in some ways to me.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. I don't know. I guess I just don't really have that perspective because I see it every day. So to me, it's just sort of like, oh yeah, that thing on the wall. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. And again, like my main motivation is to see people excited by it because that makes me feel really good. And I think it's just a cool way to share a moment with someone.
Yeah, I'm just ready to get like some Needful Things vibes, just cursed objects. It's just,
yeah, sure.
Here's the microphone of a noted podcaster, and his soul is inside of it.
Oh yeah.
So aside from your work, what other creative interests and talents do you have? I usually ask this question is, what weird ass talent do you have? And maybe that's another one to put in there, but feel free to spin it.
Unlike my profession, my hobby isn't quite so weird. I'm a musician, and that's what I spend a lot of my personal time on. I'm in a few bands, and I have a solo recording also. So, I before the pandemic, I was playing regularly with my band Natural Velvet. Mm-hmm. I was playing drums. I also have another band called Moth Broth. Yeah. And I also play with the Mole Suit Choir. So they are kind of weird bands, but yeah, it's music's my thing for sure.
I dig it. So so do you get like really like jazzed up when you see like something that's like weird, like they have, and again, this is going to sound terrible. It might sound weird, but it's like, yeah, we have this drum that's made out of human flesh. She's like, yeah, bring that in. Is that like something you look forward to? Like something that's an odd like music instrument?
Oh, an odd music instrument. Well, I do have an affinity for odd music instruments. I can't say I have anything with human skin, but I do have a little collection of weird instruments at my place. I have been experimenting with the cuica, which is a Brazilian drum that it's a really weird instrument, but it kind of sounds like the if you know in like the samba with the like like that kind of like it sounds like a straw in a Coke cup or something. And that's the instrument. It's like it's like a drum with one head, and it has a little perpendicular wooden stick that comes down that you reach in and actually massage with a wet sponge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very strange instrument, and it makes that really strange like soda cup with the straw sound.
I dig it.
Yeah, just like putting that through different like weird effects and things. I don't know. That kind of stuff is a little hobby, but I wouldn't say it's really that weird. I mean,
I'm just thinking of like, how can a rapper like remix that and put that in there? Like, let me just loop that.
Oh, totally.
Let me loop that quick.
No. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, there's a lot you can do with that instrument for sure.
Let's see. In your opinion, since you're in business here, so you're in this kind of unique spot where you're in business here, but you're also a creative and you're in that scene too. So you're traveling, you're like a day walker in many ways. You're able to travel in two different worlds. Creatively, what would you say is like great about Baltimore in this kind of area? Because Hamden is in Baltimore and people act like it's not. But creatively, what do you think is great about Baltimore, and what do you think is an opportunity for improvement or more attention?
Right. I mean, honestly, just the attitude, it's kind of got like that punk spirit where it's like very do it yourself. I don't know. It's like one of the, I mean, I can't say for certain, but it seems like one of the only cities left, at least on the East Coast, where you can really start your own business with not a whole lot of money, which is, I mean, that's a huge quality that makes the difference, I think. Yeah. When it comes to people who are like really I mean, we started the shop with, I think I had a credit card that maxed out at like $7,000 or something. And that's how I started the shop, you know, like I didn't have a whole lot saved. It was a gradual thing too, but really it's like Baltimore's like the only, I mean, it's hard to start from not very much and kind of claw your way into a real business that can sustain itself. I mean, if we had rent overhead like most do in other cities, we would have never been able to start this business. So honestly, just really grateful to be in a city that has. I know a lot of the residential rents and a lot of the rents in Hamden. Obviously, a lot of the commercial rents are kind of skyrocketing, but compared to other East Coast cities, you can still find cheap spots. You might have to look kind of hard, but you know, it still feels within the realm of possibility. And I think that makes the total difference, to be honest. Just that kind of, sort of anyone can access that if they can find the right spot. But I mean, Baltimore is not without its, you know, there's a lot of problems that need to be addressed too. But honestly, Brandon Scott being in the mayor right now, I think is going to be huge. I'm really excited about his, not to get too political or anything, but I think that there's I'm really, really optimistic about his administration and also just about the future post COVID. It seems like, I mean, sadly, of course, there are places that have shut down in Hamden and in all neighborhoods, but it does really kind of feel like at any point things could just start blooming again, you know, like it's a very spring kind of thing, but it does kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being optimistic, but it feels like, you know, in April or May, hopefully by the time people are hearing this podcast, everyone's been vaccinated and can kind of wake up again and kind of, I think there's going to be a whole lot of opportunity for people. And I'm hoping that landlords and people who are in positions of power are going to enable creative people especially, but also just anyone who wants to dig in and start a business.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's important. And that's the thing that I hear in terms of, because you're from here, or did you move into Baltimore?
I grew up in my early childhood, like in Hamilton, okay. But I later my parents moved out to Harford County.
You're local, so it's one of those things where I hear it a lot from people that move in, and they just talk about kind of echoing what you said from the opportunity standpoint. You know, they just talk about how things are accessible here, and it's an East Coast city. But and within that mid-Atlantic area, but then it's kind of like the forgotten East Coast city in many respects. Right. So that has its advantages in terms of you can get stuff and it's kind of easy, but you got to be able to work hard for it. But also then there's not a lot of resources. And I agree with you when it comes to Brandon Scott, one, because he and I are the same age, but two, I think one of the...
Is he an Aquarius?
No, I don't think so. We reject him on that level, but one of the things that I think is big is in some of the meetings I've been with and different boards I've been on, and as I kind of get just more opportunities to work with artists and folks like that, just some of the plans he has. And it's just like, one of the first things is like within the first 100 days, let's have a board that's focused on creatives here, because I hear it all the time from like folks at BOPA and things like, how are we losing talent all the time? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that there are two things that are going for people here. One, going that are part of the conversation here. I don't know if it's going forward against, but I believe that Baltimore is very authentic, and in that way we can smell bullshit really quickly. And that's hard to navigate that when you go to a realm that's really focused on kind of lip service and things like that. So we smell it, we see it, we don't want part of it. So that kind of lessens how far you can really go and how broad you can really go with things. And secondly, I think in terms of like resources, and I don't know what your take is on it. Maybe it's the same or similar, but I think there are, let's say you have a pie, right? And the pie has 8 slices. we're being told that there's 8 slices, but in reality, 5 of those slices are already earmarked for people.
Yeah.
And we're thinking that, oh, there's an opportunity, a fair opportunity out there, but really it's only 3 slices that are really available that aren't earmarked, and we're trying to fight for it. And the resources aren't being given out. Like,
well, and it just sucks when there's like creative people that are being pitted against each other for those kind of resources, because I mean, honestly, you want to provide every opportunity for creatives and people who just have such great ideas to share with the community. And like you said, it's really tough when there's certain forces that are unfortunately still present that are monopolizing a lot of the resources and a lot of the power. Yeah. But I don't know. I am really excited about Brandon Scott, and my council person Ryan Dorsey also is an example of someone that I excited to see kind of take the reins a little bit. Totally. Hopefully.
Because I mean, as you were getting at with, even though it was a gradual process and starting where you were at, it's like, oh, well, let me max this credit card out of this $7,000. And, for like a micro grant or small grants here and there, $300 to $500 can mean a lot for someone that's creating.
Oh yeah.
Like people think it's always this gradual back and forth on how does one justify their artistic expression? Like, I'm a podcaster. And I told you how long I've been doing it, and I learned what it takes to do my stuff, but it's not free to do this either. And it often gets missed. And it's like a grant here or a grant for someone else that's trying to put this out there and try to do good, really representing what Baltimore is about. I think that's an important thing. And it gets missed because of, as you were saying earlier, maybe certain powers that be or whatever's out there. But I think we're headed in the right direction. And that I don't think it's optimistic. I feel the same way. We need some optimism here.
Yeah, totally.
So going back into it, if you had the opportunity, what creative person, living or dead, would you want to work with? And in which way and why would it be that particular person?
It's such a hard question. I think okay. Is it okay if I give you more than one answer?
Please.
I'll make it brief. I think as far as like art and design and that kind of space is concerned, I would have to say Bruce Goff, who was an architect who kind of pioneered the genre of organic architecture. But he was just this like beautiful queer spirit who made these really beautiful buildings that have gone criminally underrepresented, I think, or even some of them have been demolished, honestly. It's just really, his work is just really amazing to me. And to be able to design, because we do a lot of like, we do some projects in the store, like different like entomology, like different bugs and things like that. But just to make some kind of, I would love to collaborate in inside of one of his buildings that he's built. I think, I don't know, he's just one of my favorite architects and one of my favorite artists.
I'm here for it.
But then for music, because that has to be a whole different category for me, unfortunately. But it's a tie between, I think, June Tyson, who was the singer with the Sun Ra Orchestra. I always loved how she was able to like ride that line between like the super like avant-garde and the like pop jazz kind of thing. And that just resonates with me so much. And I just think her voice is incredible, and I would love to do a whole weird pop album with her if I could. And then also I have to say Sue Tissue, who was the singer of the punk band Suburban Lawns from like the early 80s. But she is a really, she actually put out her own solo album that I think is maybe the most mysterious and incredible record. And then she just disappeared. She put it out on her own label. I probably pressed like 100 copies, and then did like some cameo on some movie or something in the 80s, and then just pieced out. No one can find her. And I mean, just really, really incredible stuff. And I would love to find her and work on music with her. I mean, but I think she probably wants to be left alone. But Sue Tissue, if you get a chance, look her up. And none of her stuff has been reissued because no one can find her to buy the rights or to negotiate anything. So she's kind of one of those enigmas. And I'd love to just pick her brain and to make some music with her.
I will check her out. And also,
Sue Tissue, no E, S-U.
Gotcha. And June Tice is an Aquarius, just for context.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, gosh, that's a really tough question, and I'm sticking with my answer. I think
you did it well though. You got it out there. So in what ways? And let's talk about Bazaar Baltimore a little bit more. In what ways have you expanded your business, like in the most substantive way? Like, what do you think? If someone were to ask you, what's that one way that you've expanded your business? How would you sum it up? And what way would you like to expand it moving forward, whether it be in terms of size or whether it be in terms of offerings, things like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, size seems like the obvious answer because our store is so small and there are so many large, fantastic taxidermy objects and otherwise that would be great to have. But honestly, I mean, the biggest way we've expanded is just listening to customers who ask for certain things or who are, you can see like they're interested in talking about certain items, certain areas of collectibles and that kind of thing. And you just sort of, you just have to listen and say, oh, this is what people want. Because when we first opened, we didn't have a whole lot of stuff. I mean, we were starting from scratch with just, not a whole lot of money. And, we couldn't cast a wide net and just see what people wanted. We kind of had to just really listen in carefully and find things for people. And, it's like after the second person asks us for the same thing, it's like, oh, we need to, stock this all the time. Yeah. That kind of thing. Listening to our customers is really the best way we've expanded, I think, just in terms of offering different products and really sort of trying to carry things that people want, But of course, I would love a larger space. In theory, happy here, obviously, but when you talk about expansion, that would be probably the next step. Also we've expanded with like different things we've been making.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was maybe the second Christmas season that we had. It was like we were just out of stuff. It was just like people are buying things. This is actually working. Yeah. So now we're kind of screwed because we're out of stuff. Yeah. So we part of it was just like, go back in the workspace, find whatever you can find, make something, put it in a glass dome, pin an insect, whatever, do this, do that. We started making candles. We made greeting cards. We made like our own jewelry. Just trying to make things has been really, it's been really cool and really liberating.
That's great.
Yeah. And you never know. I mean, like our candles, like if you told me that our candles would be popular when we first started making them, I would have been like, no way. I have no idea what I'm doing. But actually it's become a huge part of our business. We just have like our own line of, I guess we're up to 8 different scented candles that we stock regularly, and we make them all right here in the shop. Just little things like that. And it's like, you don't know what you can do until you try.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of the way we'll probably be expanding for a while.
It's very punk rock for one, DIY. Two, you have 3 things. You sold yourself short. You mentioned music, you mentioned entrepreneur, but also you're making things. You're out there doing candles. And one of the things that really resonated with me is the listening piece. And, being with friends with different business owners, especially during this time, I'm an analyst in my day job. I'm a problem solver, and I'll sit there and I'll look at things and I'll identify it. And sometimes it's a lot of ego there and people don't listen. And in the spirit of listening, I have one request for you guys. I need a mogwai that's preferably brown and white, that's water resistant. I don't
water resistant.
I don't know if it's something you guys can find, but I
think water resistant takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, you're right. So I have one more question, and and at the end, as you've listened to a few of the episodes, I like to give the guests the opportunity to shamelessly plug anything they have coming up, social media, all of that good stuff.
Sure.
So let's see. If you had someone visiting Baltimore, let's say COVID is gone. Let's say, you know, when it's this magical time that we're all looking forward to. Now I'm put a different spin on it. Usually it's food oriented. Where do you want people to go eat? We're not going to do that. We're going to do, what are 3 odd places that they have to check out here? In your opinion, where are the odd places? Obviously they have to go to the Bazaar Baltimore, but also what are the odd places that they got to check out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And unfortunately with COVID, there's been a lot of things that have closed. Sure. A lot of really cool places in our neighborhood, even like Hamden Junk was one of my favorite shops. Yes. They closed, unfortunately. But I'm going to say definitely have to check out Dr. Gloom's Crypt of Curiosities, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's actually in Protean Books and Records, which is in the Otterbein neighborhood. Okay. But my friend Chris LaMartina and his wife Melissa, they have this little kind of sideshow dime museum type thing, and it's totally worth a trip. Wow. It's free. It's just like in the back of this awesome record shop. So definitely check out Dr. Gloom's Crypt of Curiosities. You said 3 things?
I'm looking at the Fiji Mermaid right now.
Yeah. Definitely check out that. I would say, I mean, come on, Greenmount Cemetery. That's obviously
you gotta go there.
The prettiest place. Definitely worth a visit there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with they have the gravestone of the inventor of the Ouija board. Elijah Bond. Yeah. And they, the Talking Board Historical Society, recently renovated the gravestone and made it into like a Ouija board.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And it's just, right in the beautiful cemetery. It definitely worth checking that out. And then for number 3, I'm going to say 3 Miles House, which is a karaoke bar in Remington. Okay. Super, super old school, like just kind of like the definition of like a corner bar, karaoke bar, unchanged probably since 1982, maybe. I don't know, just really, really cool place that I can't wait to go back to once it's safe. But definitely a great mix of characters. Definitely a cool spot that I hope to visit again soon. I'd recommend that as my 3rd place.
That's fantastic. So I'm pretty much done with my questions. You've aced it, flying colors.
Oh shit.
So feel free to plug away. What do you got? What do you got to plug on?
Oh my gosh. Well, at the shop we have a brand new scented candle called Fortune Teller, which is our latest in our line of scented candles. And my idea behind it was to sort of create the smell of like a waiting room when you're like waiting to have your fortune read, or like at the psychic's little lounge, like what it might smell like there. That's the concept behind it. I'm pretty psyched on it. It has kind of like, kind of smells like 1950s perfume with like spices. I don't know. It's a really cool candle. I'm pretty stoked on that one. That one just came out. We have I think this is probably going to be after, before this podcast episode airs, but on March 6th, there is we are sponsoring a virtual drag show, which is really cool, with one of our, a few of our close friends. That's called the Filthiest People Alive. I'm sure they'll be doing more shows, but definitely worth looking up. Section 8 is the drag queen behind it, and our friend Divya Anantharman from New York, who's a taxidermist, and she teaches classes at our shop sometimes, or had been before the pandemic. But definitely that. Personally, I have, I think, 3 albums and 2 EPs that I'm hoping to release this year. This is kind of stuff that's been sort of, it's been tough with COVID, and also finding the resources to put all this stuff out, but I'm sure it'll get released eventually. I don't know if I have working titles for some of them, so I can't quite plug them as I would like to, but I did release an album last year under my name, Greg Hatem, and the album is called Springlight. And that's sort of about the cusp between Pisces and Aries, as we were sort of talking about earlier, because I'm a huge astrology nerd. So there's that. My band, Natural Velvet, we're almost on our new album, and we have an EP coming out soon of different remixes from our last album. So that's definitely something to look out for. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that pretty much covers it as far as, it's weird because there's not a whole lot of events with dates that you can point to because of COVID, but, yeah, I think that covers it. Our store Instagram is Bazaar Baltimore. It's Bazaar Baltimore. And we also are on the Facebooks and the Twitter and all that kind of stuff too. So, and our website is bazaarbaltimore.com.
So thank you for coming on to the podcast. I'll do my sign off.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, of course.
So for Greg Hatem, I'm Rob Lee saying that there is a lot of weird stuff in Baltimore. You got to look for it.